Hi guys, Jordan from B&P Campers. Just going to do your handover video on this Bessecarr 494. It's based on the Fiat Ducato chassis, and as you can see there, you've got the sort of black and green detailing throughout. We haven't had a chance to clean this just yet, so please bear that in mind on the video, but I'll start under the bonnet just here. So, over on the left hand side, we've got your washer fluid, power steering fluid, engine coolant, and brake fluid. Then got your engine oil and your engine oil dipstick just there next door to that. Air filter sits inside this box just down here to the right. And the only other thing that I tend to point out on these cabs is that you've got a little flap just down here which gives you access to a positive terminal for your engine battery. So this little prong just here is the positive terminal for your engine battery. The earthing point, or the negative terminal, is this one just here, and that will basically just allow you to jump start the vehicle if you needed to from under the bonnet. The engine batteries on these cabs sits under the floor just here under this little cover, and that's why they give you the option of jump starting it from underneath the bonnet. So I think that's about it for under the bonnet really. You have got a few bits of sort of detail here. So you've got 249, that's the white colour on the cab here. So if you ever needed any touch-up paints, Fiat 249 is what you need there. And your Alco uprated chassis plate just there as well. So just on the front near side, we've got your diesel filling point behind this little cover. And the bonnet release handle is just here inside this door. Underneath the passenger seat, you've got your jack and wheel brace kit, and both front seats are swivel seats from these little handles. Seats are all upholstered in proper Bessecarr upholstery to match the back end of the vehicle, so all looking really nice and clean and tidy. Right, so the first locker we get to is this, which is your gas locker. You've got space for two 13-kilo propane bottles in here if you want them. At the moment, we've just got this one full 6 kilo. To turn the bottle on, we go anti-clockwise around to the left, and to turn it off, we go all the way down clockwise to the right. You have got a crash sensor in there as well, which is the little green button on the regulator up there. So it does tell you how to do that just here. But if you ever find that you can't get any gas to come through to the inside of the vehicle, press and hold on that button for a few seconds, and it will basically just purge the gas back through again past the crash sensor. So that's your gas locker there. Obviously you've got your habitation door just here. You have got a blackout blind in there as well. Other than that, there's not much else to show you on there. Awning light, you can see there, nice bright LED awning light. So the idea would be to have your awning wound out, and then you've got your awning light so you can see where you are underneath. You've got your external gas point just here, so this is your barbecue point basically, just here. External mains power as well. Then got your Audi heating and hot water vent just here. So the actual heater itself is just here underneath the bed somewhere. You have got these grates all the way through the vehicle. These are basically little radiators to essentially it's a wet central heating system rather than a blown air central heating system. So I'll explain you through that later on when we get inside. The leisure battery sits underneath this black cover here in this locker as well, and the rest of it is all just kind of extra bits and pieces that the previous owner has left for the next owner. So you got the two bike rack at the back of the vehicle just here. Reversing camera at the top just there as well. You can see there, Bessecarr by Swift. Bodywork on this particular vehicle is lovely, as you can probably see there on the video. Can't fault it on that whatsoever. It's just the fact that we haven't had a chance to wash it just yet. So just try and bear that in mind. The fresh and waste water drains, I would normally show you where these are on the outside of the vehicle, but when we get inside you'll realise why. They've got an electronic drain system on here, so I'll show you how to use them in just a minute when we get to that. External water point just here. So there will be a point for that as well. That's where the external water is. Next door to that, we've got your toilet cassette locker. This is a Thetford toilet cassette. So if I just show you taking it out from sort of closed in, you've got this little orange handle at the front. Lift up on that and pull the cassette towards you. You will then be able to take the cassette all the way out like so. To empty the cassette out, spin this round towards you and take this cap off. When you're emptying it out from there, hold down this little orange button at the back, and that'll basically just release a little bit of pressure and make it all a lot easier. Once it's empty, use this cap as a measuring cup of the blue fluid to go back inside, and then give it a little swoosh about and push it all the way back in. And that is it. Next door to that, we've got your freshwater filling point. So anytime that you want to have some fresh water in the vehicle to fill up your fresh tank, that's where you go to fill that up. Next door to that, we've got this, which is an external 12-volt socket. So if you did have an external pump that you wanted to drop into a tank to fill this up, you can do that from there. And last thing on the outside is we've got your hookup point. So having access to a hookup cable and having it plugged in is really handy. It means that you don't have to worry about anything to do with your leisure battery or the power that you're using, because it's going to be charging up constantly. Just so you know roughly where they are, you have got a little sticker down here. This is your freshwater draining off point, and the waste one is just here. But as I say, they are electronically sort of opened up from inside. So I'll show you how to do that when we get there. So just going to jump in the cab so I can show you what we've got in here. So the mileage on this particular vehicle, 4,900 miles. So it's literally, you know, it's not really been on a decent holiday yet, if I'm honest with you. It's not been used a lot at all. You have got lots of nice extras on here. So you've got, first off, this cab that's been sort of purposely done like this by, you know, from factory. It's all in this sort of like brown colour, which I think looks really nice. So you've got the 6-speed manual gearbox. You've got your cruise control from this stalk just down here underneath the indicator stalk. Hazard warning lights, air conditioning, and all of your sort of heater controls here. The aircon's from this little button here in the middle. You've then got the nice modern head unit up here. This is all the standard Fiat head unit up here. A couple of 12-volt and USB sockets just down there. You've got your auxiliary and USB socket down here as well. Reversing camera screen is up here. This is a mirror monitor. You can adjust the mirrors from just here, so you can select which mirror to move and then move it around like a joystick, basically. Fog lamp and your headlight adjustments are just there. I think that's about it really for the cab. So I'm just going to turn around now and just sort of walk through to the back. So basically what I'm going to do now is run you through the leisure side of the vehicle. So on the roof of this vehicle, you have got a solar panel. The solar panel itself is working really, really well. At the moment, I haven't got the engine running and I haven't got the hookup plugged in. So the only way that the battery is being charged up at the moment is via that solar panel. As you can see up there, we're on 13.7 volts. Now, a normal resting battery rate is anywhere between about 12 and 12.5 volts. All right. So that being at 13.7 is absolutely brilliant. The maximum that it'll ever really go to is about 14.5. So you can sort of expect to see 14 or above when you're hooked up on the mains. But to see it there at 13.7 without anything else apart from a solar panel charging it, it's just a, you know, really, really good sign. So exit settings, yeah. Okay. Right, so going to go back to the beginning here. Sorry, I'm just trying to go back to the start. Vehicle battery. Right, there you go. Okay, so where am I going to start? So I've shown you around the cab. The layout in this particular vehicle is one of the most desirable layouts that you can get in a motorhome, if I'm completely honest. So you've got this front sort of lounge area. The bed at the front just here makes up ridiculously easily, literally just by pulling these together. So you pull this seat to get here to the middle, this one here to meet it, back cushions go down, and then you've got your small double bed or big single bed. So this is what you'd call a 3/4 berth vehicle. So you've got a double bed at the back with your island bed, and you've got the option of having 1 or 2 people in the front. The island bed is a side island bed in this particular one, as you can see. Now the side islands are also very desirable. There's lots and lots of vehicles with the center island bed, which also very, very good layout. You know, lots and lots of people like those as well. But having this side island bed is a little bit more unusual, and I personally absolutely love it. You can lift the bed up like so, giving you access to the outside locker that I showed you and your Audi heating system here as well. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is just run you through the control panel, and then once I've done that, I'll carry on and show you through sort of like the appliances and things. So first things first, lights. So on the left hand side here we've got 3 different switches. Now you've got this one at the top, which is your awning light. Okay, so once you've got that switched on, the awning light should come on. You know it's the awning light one there because you've got a little moon symbol next door to it, and that'll just basically tell you it's the outside light. You've then got this one here, which is your dimmer switch. So it then comes up here, dimmer level, and you can adjust how dim and how bright certain lights are via the dimmer. And you've got this little switch at the bottom just here, which is basically just a main lights isolator. So this is to do with the lights, these ones here, all right, and various other ones. So basically when you come into the vehicle, if you want to use your lights, you press this little button just here, and that will then give you access to using all of the lights. Water pump is this one just down here at the bottom. Once you've turned that on, assuming you've got some water in the tank, you will then have water coming through the taps. Okay. When you finish with the water pump, I always like to recommend switching it off. It's just a bit of a fail-safe thing for me personally. If, for example, you find that the pump's been running on and you haven't heard it, or you haven't realised that it is running on, what will happen is with pumps is that they'll keep going and going until they burn themselves out. I don't mean in a ball of flames. I just mean that they'll run out of power basically, and you have to replace it. So all the time that you're not using the pump, just turn it off. It's just as easy as that. Just press the button there, and that's the complete, that's the pump completely turned off. All right, so the rest of the screen is basically just to do with the levels, your sort of fresh and waste water levels, and various other things. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run you through that. So you've got internal temperature, AC power limit, don't need to do any of that. Tank heaters, you can turn them on and off. Select battery. So at the moment, you can see up here, we've got leisure up here. So the leisure battery is a thing that is powering the vehicle at the moment. So that is absolutely what we want to be. If I selected a different battery, so we select the vehicle battery there instead, vehicle selected. Now that basically means that now everything that I've got in the back end, so you've got all your lights on and blah, 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 it's all being powered via the vehicle battery. So if I just quickly explain something, the only reason that you would ever really want to do that is so as well as selecting the battery that powers the lights and all of your 12-volt stuff in the back end, it also changes which battery, the leisure battery, there's lots of battery words here. So when you change the selected battery from leisure to vehicle, what it also does, as well as changing the battery that's powering the lights, it also changes which battery the hookup is charging. So all the time that you've got leisure selected up there, if you've got a hookup cable plugged in, the charger will be charging the ledger. All right. But if you change it over to vehicle, like I've just done there, yes, now the vehicle battery is powering all these lights. But if I plug the hookup cable in now, the vehicle battery will be being charged up by the charger. So the only reason you would ever select vehicle battery instead of leisure is if your vehicle battery's gone flat and you wanted to charge it up via the hookup. All right, hopefully that makes sense. So essentially you can change which battery the hookup is charging by doing that. Because, you know, and if I just explain, you know, at the moment, yes, I've got it changed to vehicles, so the vehicle battery is powering these lights. But that doesn't really make any sense. You know, why would you want to do that? Because after a little while, your vehicle battery is going to go flat and you won't be able to start the van up. All right, so that's why I'm saying the only reason that you would ever really do that is if you wanted to charge the vehicle battery instead. But that only applies when your hookup's plugged in. Anyway, so that's your vehicle battery selected. So we'll select leisure instead there. So we want an L in the battery symbol up here. So carry on through, solar to leisure. So we've got the amount of amps that are being thrown into the leisure battery at any one time. And obviously it's a fairly dull day outside today. There's not much sunlight out there. The more sunlight that you've got outside, the more amps that'll be throwing into the leisure battery. So, you know, you haven't got to do anything with that. It's just there if you want to see how many amps are being put in. Vehicle battery level, leisure battery level. I've got all these lights on here now, so that's why it's gone down a little bit. Sergeant, that's usually the main screen. So system settings, you haven't got to worry about that. Heater settings. Now this is where you've got to try not to get yourself confused, and the reason I'm saying that is because it confuses me a lot of the time and I do it for a job. So heater settings. Now you've got this little unit just here. All right, now this is your heating and hot water controller. Because this is a really nice modern vehicle, you can also use it via an app. All right, so if you're wanting to go through that route and you want to do it like that, then this is how you do it. So there's an app called Swift Command, and essentially what it does, I think it's called Swift Command, and what it does is it allows you to use the vehicle via an app, basically, in the back end. So when you get up to this part here that says heater settings, you can switch through. So now you can see we're on control manual, and that means that we're going to use the actual controller over here on the left. So the majority of people, if I'm honest, will be leaving it like that. If I select through here, you can do timer, so you can turn the heating controller on and off from here, or you can select app. So when you've selected app, that will then allow you to use that Swift Control app and use the heating and hot water via that. All right, so I'm going to leave it here on manual because I need to show you how this controller works. I can't show you how an app works, obviously, because I'm videoing it on my phone at the moment. But I just wanted to show you there is that option. If you wanted to use it on the app and you're a bit more sort of, you know, technical and you wanted to try it like that, that's absolutely fine. I personally would be using it over here on this because it is so easy to use it on this, but it's completely up to you. So exit settings, yes, right, that's it. That is it. That's the whole control panel there. So as I say, the first thing you want to do really is just turn the power switch on in the bottom right hand side, and then your lights on the left. Once you've done that, you'll then be able to use pretty much anything in the vehicle. Okay, so you've got this switch just here, which is for the overhead lights just there. You've then got these two here, so you've got fresh and wastewater drain off points. So if I wanted to drain out the wastewater, press that there. It's literally a rocker switch, so just put it down, and you probably can't hear it on the video, but I just heard the waste valve opening up. So any wastewater that might be in the tank is now draining out onto the floor outside. I'm not going to do it with the fresh because I obviously want there to be some fresh water in the tank so I can show you things working, but that is how you use the fresh and wastewater drains. Up where they are at the moment is closed, so that's to leave anything inside it still, and down is how you drain them out. Right, so before I go on to the Audi heating system, something really important to sort of quickly run through. With the heating and hot water, well, mainly to do with the hot water actually, one thing you have to do before you actually like start using the, sorry, I just opened up that drain. Before you start using the hot water, it's really important to make sure that the actual boiler is full of water first. All right, so essentially it's exactly the same idea as, say for example, you had a kettle, right? You had a kettle here plugged into this socket. If you turn that kettle on when there's absolutely no water inside of it, you can imagine what's going to happen. It's just going to go very badly wrong. It'll overheat, you know, blah blah blah. So what you don't want to do is try and heat the water up via this Audi heating controller when there's no water inside of it. So to make sure that there is water inside of it, you've got to do two things. First thing is, underneath this bed, you'll notice just down here is a little yellow handle. So as long as that handle there that you can see is in the position that it's in now, so it's laying down flat, that means that this boiler is going to hold whatever water is inside of it. If you want to drain the boiler out of its water, you lift that tab upright so it's facing up towards us, and that will drain any water that's inside of it out onto the floor. So the idea behind that is that that's essentially what you call a manual boiler drain. So in the winter, if you're not going to be using this vehicle, it's really important to winterize, they call it winterizing, your vehicle. All right, so winterizing is essentially open up those two drains and allow it all to drain out from there. Lift your tap up so that all of the water comes out from there and it doesn't get stuck inside the actual tap. And lift up your boiler drain so the boiler drains out all of its water onto the floor. And the reason you do that, very simply, if the water inside the pipes and the appliances freezes, it'll expand and you'll have leaks when you next try to use the vehicle. Simple as that. So that's the first thing you got to check to make sure the boiler's full. Make sure that your drain off point is laying down flat like it is now. Second thing you need to do, turn your water pump on and just basically pull the tap on the hot side. So round to the left, pull the tap. So there you go. I've got good pressure coming through, and that proves to me the boiler's full. So if the boiler was empty of water and I turned the pump on and pulled the hot water through the tap just there, just telling me the water level was low. If I drew the water through there on the tap, on the hot side of the tap there, and no water came through, it would tell me that the boiler isn't quite full yet. And all I have to do, assuming there's enough water in the tank, all you have to do from there is allow the water to come through. Just leave it in the open position with the pump on and wait for the water to come through nice and clearly like it just was. If you do that, if you turn the pump on, draw the water through and it comes straight through just like it did there, you can completely forget about what I'm talking about and use the boiler exactly as you want to. All right, because that just proves to you that the boiler's full. So once you've done that, we can go ahead and use the hot water however we want to. So the Audi heating system's so simple. All right, so on the screen, before I've even pressed any buttons, it's telling us what the temperature is inside this vehicle. Now there will be a little black, what do you call it? Like a temperature gauge basically for the boiler. Where it might be, I don't know. They're always in a different sort of place. Anyway, it doesn't really matter, but there's a little temperature gauge somewhere for it. So it's telling us that it's about 21 degrees inside the vehicle right now. So it, you know, in real terms, we're unlikely to want to use the heating right now, but I will show you how it works. So we press the menu button, and once you've done that, we've got a few options. So we've got at the top just here, this is our internal temperature. So it's set, sorry about my shaky hand, it is set to 5 degrees right now. So obviously the heating isn't going to come on. So if I go through and go all the way up above 21 to 30, all the way up to the top, the heater is now springing to life. So you might not be able to hear it, but it is working. So it's currently just springing to life. It's just blowing the gas, the last time it was used, there'll be a little tiny bit of gas there probably. Clearing that out, and then it'll try and light itself up. So if you've got this little button down here, switch to on, that means that your gas is on. Basically, that's going to be using the gas to work the boiler. So that's how you use the heating. As long as you've got your number up here above the temperature that it is inside the vehicle, the heater will come on, and basically all of your little sort of radiators around the vehicle, that's those just down there, they'll be all over the place, they'll start to heat up. There will be one behind a lot of the seats as well, but after about an hour or so you'll have nice hot radiators and the whole vehicle will start to warm up really, really quickly. So that's how you use the heating. All right, that's just this one at the top. Essentially, just like a house, set your temperature and it will just do its thing. If you want to use it on gas, leave this one on. If you have a hookup cable plugged in, you can select 1, 2, or 3 kilowatts up there on the hookup symbol as well. For the moment, we don't want to be using it on hookup because, well, I haven't got one plugged in. But if I'm honest with you, the gas is well, there's a couple of ways to look at it. If you don't want to use any gas, then obviously you can use your mains if you got it plugged in. But if you never use the gas on these sort of heating and hot water systems, sometimes they will get a little bit clogged up. So you'll find that the next time you go to use it, you'll struggle to get it to work because it wouldn't, because it hasn't been used enough. So I always try and recommend, if you can use it on gas every now and again, or even every time, then you'll find that you'll have less problems with it over the years. So that's how you use the heating at the top. If you want to heat the water up, you've got 1 or 2 on there. And basically, as long as this little bar is full up like that, it means that the hot water is going to start working. So essentially, you've got 1 or 2 on how powerful the hot water comes on. As I said, that's still just being worked on gas at the moment because that one's on. The one above it is just telling it not to use any mains power. But yeah, that is it. So if I want to turn the hot water off, back down to 0 on that one. And if I want to turn the heating off, all the way back down below the temperature that you know it is on the inside, so back down to 16 for example, or I'll go lower than that just in case. Go down to 10 just as like a freeze control, and that's it. So as long as your 2 at the top just here, your heating and hot water aren't on, so you've got nothing on this one here and you're below the internal temperature at the top, that's it. That's the boiler completely off. You can leave the gas symbol on here if you want to, because it's not going to be doing anything until you tell it to with one of these 2 up here anyway. But yeah, that's it. So turn this screen off, just press that button there, it'll come up saying off, and then the screen will go blank. And there you go. So that's how you use the heating and hot water system from there. Right, so you've then got the next appliance is your fridge. So this is a Dometic 3-way fridge. As you can probably imagine, it works 3 different ways. You have also got, this is an AES fridge, which stands for Automatic Energy Selector. Now, basically what that means is that you've got this little A here. So the 3 different ways that you can use it, you've got 240 volts, this is your mains. You've got gas, and you've got 12 volt. So the 12 volt is for when your engine's running and you're driving. All right, so this will not work unless your engine's running, and that's because it literally gets fed via the engine. All right, so if I try and use it now on 12 volt, you can see there telling us no straight away. So the idea behind it is that you have to get the fridge cold before you leave, either on the hookup or the gas. Okay, so for example, at the moment, I've only got the gas turned on. I haven't got hookup plugged in, so I can only use it on the gas. So turn this on and select gas. There you go. So you probably heard just then what it did was it automatically started the igniter, also started drawing the gas through at the back there, and lit straight up by itself. That's it. That's all you have to do. All right, so after about 2 hours or so, this fridge will be nice and cold. You've got a freezer compartment at the top, and the rest of it is your normal fridge. So that's how you light it up on the gas. Now, as I say, a lot of the time, to be fair, you're likely to be in the same position as this, so you've only got the gas, basically. If you have got access to having the hookup plugged in overnight before you go somewhere the next day, I would always recommend it. So say, for example, the van's on your driveway or whatever, wherever it's going to be, if you have the option of leaving a hookup plugged into it overnight, it does two things. It allows your battery to be completely charged up before you leave the next morning, and it also allows you to use the mains here to get the fridge cold. It's going to give us a little fault code because we've got no hookup plugged in. So at the moment, we've got the gas. All right, so as I said, you have to pre-cool these fridges either on the mains or the gas before you leave, and then essentially just press this little button here when you start the engine up and drive off. Now, the option with the A is that you can essentially press the A button there. You can see it's come on now, and it should automatically choose whichever one of these you need to be using. So the order is the way it's written out. So you've got mains, gas, 12 volts. So basically, if you had a mains cable plugged in and you had it on A, it would select mains. If there's no mains plugged in, it will select gas. And if your engine's running, it will select 12 volt. It's making that noise now because the door's open. And there you go. So if you want to leave it on A, you can do. You don't have to. You can use it manually if you want to. If you prefer to do that, you can do that there. So press and hold this one to turn it off. And that's it. That's the gas off. Cutlery drawer just down there. And a couple of bits to show you in here. So you've got, essentially you've got a couple of gas isolator points down here. It does have you a little sort of diagram down there telling you which one does what. But basically just turning those 90 degrees will isolate the gas from any sort of appliances that you want to isolate. So that is your gas isolator points. Now, because this is a British built vehicle, you have got options for gas and electric on pretty much everything. So you've got the electric ring on the hob just here. Now this will only work when your electric hookup's plugged in, and it works from this dial just here, starting 1 all the way through to 6. The rest of them are essentially just, gas burners. So you've got a ignition just here. So if I want to light one of these up, just like that, and there you go. So that's how you use that. The ignition will do the ignition for the grill and the oven as well. So the grill is this one just here, oven is this one over here. All right, so easy as that. I don't normally run through the cookers very much because they're literally just like household cookers. There's nothing different about them. Okay, so we've got some overhead storage up here. You've got your microwave, which obviously is a mains appliance, so that won't work when the hookup's not plugged in. And you've got your solar panel regulator just there. So it's a Sargent panel regulator, which means it's been fitted from new, because that's the sort of Sargent system that they use throughout. All right, so I've shown you how the heating and hot water works up there already. Loads and loads of storage space in here. Your full-size standalone table is here as well. And I will just point out that you've got this Vision Plus TV aerial booster in here. So this is all correlating to this tilt and turn aerial. So if you wanted to, essentially if you wanted to use a TV or get some signal coming to a TV, you need to use the tilt and turn aerial and have the Vision Plus booster switched on. The switch for it is just on the top left hand side. You don't need it on at the moment, obviously. The only other thing I'm going to point out, now this is obviously more of a sort of technician's thing to know, but this unit in here is where you're essentially, so if you think of it as like a house where you've got your combi boiler, you've got your radiators, and obviously you've got a certain amount of water pumping around through the radiators. Now this works exactly the same way. Only difference is that you've got this tank here. So it's coolant basically is what it is that runs through them, and this is your coolant tank. So it will say there minimum at the bottom, maximum at the top. Now this is a cold level, so where it is at the moment is absolutely fine, but if you ever need servicing doing to it, you can do it from there. Now please don't try filling this up with water or anything like that. It has to be sort of specific stuff, but I'm just sort of showing you that's where the expansion tank is for that. The brown box just here is all your paperwork for the vehicle, and you know, you can see there it's absolutely full to the brim, which is what you want to see. Right, so you've got your other radiator here inside the bathroom. Now in the bathrooms, if I'm honest with you, the bits that I normally run through are essentially just the toilets, because the rest of it is as simple as left and right, hot and cold. Left and right, hot and cold, exactly the same for the shower. Yeah, so yeah, easy as that. As you can see, I must admit, it looks brand new. I wouldn't say it's been used very much, if at all, in here. So the toilet is super simple, but as I say, not everyone's used one of these before, so I'll just run you through how it works. So you've got a blue button at the back. Now if I press this blue button, flush fluid or fresh water gets pumped around. Let's see if I can show you that with it up. Just like that. And that's it. That's how you flush the toilet, basically. That's how you flush it around the bowl. To empty it into the cassette, you've got a handle just here on the bottom. Pull it towards us, and that drains whatever's in the bowl there into the cassette. Now make sure that you push this flap back over to where it was, and then you'll be able to take it out from the outside. And that's it. Simple as that. Now you will get a little symbol come up there as well, telling you when you have to empty this out, but to be honest, it's normally pretty self-explanatory when you need to do that anyway. But there you go. Okay, so I'm just trying to work out if there's anything I've missed. So we've got the heating hot water, fridge, cooker. Yeah, okay. So it's been a bit of a long video because this vehicle has got so many extras and so many nice goodies on it. But if you think I've missed anything out, just let us know. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.